The death penalty has been around since ancient times. In the United States, it is a capital punishment, and nowadays, most death penalties are applied by lethal injection, gas chambers, and electric chairs. The electric chair was optional in only some states of the U.S., including Alabama, Florida, South Carolina, and Virginia. But both the gas chamber and electric chair method were very rare. Only 11 executions by gas chamber have been conducted. In the United States, hanging was stopped during the 1980s after the electric chair method was developed. The gas chamber method was developed in the 1920s. Most people were punished with the death penalty because they would commit capital offenses such as first-degree murder, rape, and federal crimes of treason. Carl Chessman was born in St. Joseph, Michigan on May 27, 1921. He spent most of his adult life in prison on charges of assault and robbery. After being paroled in California, he was arrested near Los Angeles and was charged with being the Red Light Bandit. As the Red Light Bandit, he would put a red light on his car and trick innocent people into thinking he was a cop. When the victim pulled over, he would rob, rape, and sometimes kidnap the victim. He was charged with 17 counts of rape, robbery, and kidnapping. Chessman was sentenced to death. In his time spent on death row, he became a critically acclaimed author. All of his 4 books were autobiographies about what it was like to be on death row. Because of his books, he became so famous, President Dwight Eisenhower's safety was in jeopardy. One of his books, Cell 2455, became a movie in 1955. He was executed in a gas chamber on May 2, 1960. Some people believe it is unethical and that people should not be able to decide whether someone will live or die. Many of these people believe that the right to decide life and death is a divine right that belongs to God. Other people still believe in the ancient law, an eye for an eye, Hammurabi. These individuals argue that the death penalty is a fair punishment to criminals who have committed heinous crimes. Carl Chessman was originally sentenced to life in prison, but because of the Little Lindbergh Law, a law that was based on the abduction of Charles Augustus Lindbergh Jr., stated that kidnapping was a capital offense, so he was sentenced to death after being on trial. People later debated in newspapers and radio broadcasts about whether or not he should be sentenced to death or spend his life in prison.
When a man is executed by the state in the 20th century, he dies scientifically. The most up-to-date methods are used to facilitate his departure. Many, however, question the morality and the efficacy of the death penalty. Some think it a return to barbarism, a symbol of human failure. Listen to the governor of California.
The naked, simple fact is that the death penalty has been a gross failure. Beyond its horror and incivility, it has neither protected the innocent nor deterred the wicked. The recurrent spectacle of publicly sanctioned killing has cheapened human life and dignity without the redeeming grace which comes from justice meted out swiftly, evenly, and humanely. No matter how efficient and fair the death penalty may seem in theory, in actual practice in California as elsewhere, it is primarily inflicted upon the weak and the poor and the ignorant and against racial minorities. In California and in the nation as a whole, the overwhelming majority of those executed are psychotic or near psychotic, alcoholic, mentally defective, or otherwise demonstrably mentally unstable.
Governor Pat Brown's feelings are strong, and yet it is his state on which world attention is focused. It is California where the old question of the death penalty, right or wrong, has become intertwined with the question of Carol Chessman, a symbol to some of the will to live, to others of rampant bestiality. It is our purpose this evening to examine the whys of the Carol Chessman case, some of its larger implications, and the role of capital punishment in 20th century society. What is there about Carol Chessman that has made him the center of an international whirlwind? Some say it is because he has survived against the overwhelming power of the state for 12 years. Others insist that he has not received due process of law. A large segment of opinion points out that Chessman and the issue of the death penalty are made for each other.
By the time he made it to Supreme Court, Chessman was acting as his own attorney. He claimed that he did not commit these crimes. He claimed that he was accused of committing these crimes and resorted to claiming he was framed, a victim of a mistaken identity, or that he knew who the real culprit was but was too afraid to reveal him. Chessman successfully appealed 8 trials. His last appeal failed, and he was executed in a gas chamber on May 2, 1960. Carl Chessman's reason for not wanting to appeal for the 9th time was because he said, "I have had 9 execution dates, and have been spared 8 times. I do not want to be credited with more lives than a cat." What were the morals behind the death penalty? The death penalty has been used to execute criminals, but in some cases, innocent people, or just little petty thieves. The question is, was it an act of justice, treating a person according to the way they act? The death penalty gets certain people off of the streets, so innocent people may not be harmed. Capital punishment acts as a deterrent to criminals. Criminals will be afraid to commit crimes because if they do, they will face a very harsh punishment. The purpose of the death penalty is to rid the world of people who harm others, people who commit crimes such as rape, kidnapping, homicide, armed robbery, etc. The death penalty may not always be effective. It will not dissuade every criminal. There's also the chance an innocent person may be put to death for a crime they didn't commit. The family of the executed will suffer from loss and will mourn. Finally, by killing a criminal, you lose access to any information they might have on previous or unknown crimes. The gas chamber has had many difficulties. Thus, that is the reason why only 11 executions by gas chamber have been conducted. There have been many reports in the past years involving suffering of the victim in the gas chamber, and many have survived from it. Overall, the death penalty will always be a debated topic. No matter which side you are on, you can never have enough reasons to support which side is best to support in a debate. The death penalty will always be a global issue.